But, and once again, I had the answer, but I just didn't want to face it. But that day at the park, I forced myself basically to face the reality. And the reality was that I was scared. I found myself at that crossroad. I knew that, I was, a new version of myself was basically wants to be birthed, wants to express itself, wants to be manifested. And I knew that I was ready to manifest that version of myself, but what will happen after that? Hello, and welcome to Self Upgrade. So, today we're going to talk about something that I have experienced lately. But first, I'd like to send you so much love. Yes. Today, I'm vibrating to the most potent energy on earth, which is LOVE, love. I'm sending you plenty of love, and I really hope that you are going to get something out of this episode because I think the topic that I'm going to talk about today is very important because it's something that can happen to us without without you actually realizing what is happening until most of the time until it's too late. And then when you look back, that's when you're like, oh, okay, so this is what was happening. But I'm really happy because for me, the way it happened, I'm someone who loves to analyze myself. I love to analyze myself, especially when I do, just to catch myself doing, for instance, something that needs correcting. Because, I'm constantly this is the aim of the podcast, which is to upgrade yourself because you constantly need to upgrade yourself to go to the highest level. Because if you stay to the same level, there's no growth. There's no growth. And for that growth to happen, you need to upgrade yourself to go to the next version of yourself. Me right now, I like to see myself as being in my 4.0. I don't know why, but that's just, the vibration that is coming to me when I think about myself because I've been upgrading myself lately quite a lot. And I like to think that this is the 4.0 version of myself, just to give you an idea of the fact that we constantly have to strive to move forward, to evolve, to develop, not to stay in the constant, in the same situation all the time. Because if you do, there's no growth. You have to challenge yourself. You have to challenge yourself to do different things, new things that you're not comfortable doing, to get yourself out of that comfort zone because there's no growth in the comfort zone. And that's something that I knew. But, basically, what I'm going to talk to you today is, what people like to call the imposter syndrome. Basically, I've been working on a project for quite a little while now. Because if you read the description, if you are on YouTube, for instance, if you're watching this from YouTube, you will see that, in my description, I'm an entrepreneur, a poetess, and, and then a podcast host, that's what I do. So poetess, that's not really, an aspect of myself that I put forward. I don't, most people, my family, my friends, most people around me know me as an entrepreneur, marketer, and stuff like that. But no one basically knows. I mean, no one, let's just say a few people know about that aspect of myself. Only my husband, obviously, and my nephew and one of my sisters. I don't really, bring that aspect of myself forward, but that's something that lately I decided to do because just for the little background, I have a master's degree in literature, and poetry is something that attracted me, from early years. From the moment I read Langston Hughes, uh, something just, I just got so excited, with the power of poetry how you can express ideas, in just a few words, but those words are so potent that they carry, all that meaning like behind. You have to analyze to, it's like an onion. You have to open, the layers for you to really understand what the poet was thinking about, when they wrote the poem. So that's, something that I always loved. I love to analyze, poems and find out, the hidden meaning and all that. And during my spiritual awakening, I also found myself in a place where I needed to express myself. I needed to express myself, but I didn't want to talk to someone. I didn't, like, the pain was too deep, and I was not feeling ready to actually go forward and talk to people like, oh, okay, this is how I'm feeling, to see a therapist or something like that. I'm just not that kind of person. Even today, like, I don't see myself going to a therapist and be like, okay, this is what's happening. Like, I'll be like, okay, do they really care? No, do something about it. So that's, how I view things. So I, you know, I decided to, because I needed, there was, all, I was feeling all those emotions that needed to be expressed somehow. So I decided basically to express them through poetry. I would, each time that I would feel like, an emotion that was overwhelming, that needed to, that was there and needed to be expressed, I will just take my laptop and, write a poem, or my book, and, write a poem about it and just leave it there. And then last year, I found myself with so many poems, because, my spiritual awakening happened in 2017. So when I went back and actually looked at the poem, all the poem that I wrote, I was like, oh my God, because I never, when I was writing those poems, I was not thinking about publishing. It was more like expressing a feeling, about something that happened to me, about something that I saw, about, something that I have experienced as a person. So I was not thinking about, sharing the poems with the rest of the world. For me, it was, just something. For me, it was like a journal, basically. I was journaling my thoughts, my emotions. And when I went back to that, I was like, okay, because if you go back to the first episodes that I did, I spoke about this, about my spiritual awakening. I will put a link here for you to go and have a look, basically. And I explained how it happened and the context and all. So, it was linked to early birth. I had a premature baby, and lots of difficulties came. And with that, it plunged me in that very dark place where I found myself, and I needed to basically find a way out. And my way out was through poetry. So, I will put a link for you to have a look at that episode. And, I'm sharing how my spiritual awakening happened. So make sure to have a look at that episode, or to listen to that episode. So yeah. And when I read some of the poems, I was like, okay, this is, way deeper than that. At the time, I was writing this for me. I was writing this for me. But, all the topics that I write about, there are millions of people, going through the same issues every single day. Maybe these poems, I wrote them, at the time when I was, going through that. Now I'm actually fine. I've made it through, all those painful experiences. But today, there are people still going through the same thing. So maybe if I share these poems with those people, it will help to enlighten, you know, enlighten them, and to help them to feel better about themselves. Who knows? Words have power, which is why basically I chose that type of expression. Words have power. Words that we speak, words that we actually write, and also our thoughts, because it's through thoughts that you're going to express, you're going to basically have a thought, and then through the thought you're going to express it, verbally or orally, if you prefer. So, that's why I chose poetry. And to make a very long story short, um basically, when I realized that actually there was more there than just, poetry that I wrote for myself and to myself, I was like, okay, so, I never stopped, like from 2017 until today, I never stopped writing poetry. So I have like hundreds of poems there. So I'm like, okay, some of these need to be seen by some people. These messages have to be shared with people who need to see them. Because sometimes, most of the time, I will say, when we are having an issue, when we are having a problem, we think that we are the only person going through that. We feel like no one will understand us. We feel like, okay, there's no, why me? Basically, we start feeling self-pity because we feel like we are the only person going through that, when it's not true. So many people are having the same issues. So many people are going through the same situation. So that's why I decided basically to publish those poems. And, since the beginning of this year, 2024, I started to work on, editing the poems and refining them, and, basically getting them ready to be published. And, I've been working like throughout the year, basically throughout the year. I've been working on those poems, writing new poems, arranging the collection, like in terms of chapters, in terms of sections, just organizing the collection. And then, um, since August, I decided to start doing something a bit different, and to actually start to share some of the poems, like on social platforms, to just because, like I said, those messages need to be heard. What I was, writing, at the time that I was experiencing, the situations that led me to write the poems. It seemed to be, it was like, it was for me to just express myself. But I think that, it was just the universe using me as a vessel, basically, to bring those messages to the world. That's how I see that today. So that's why I decided to publish I'm in the process of publishing the collection, and obviously I'll keep you updated in all the stages. But now I'm like, okay, while I'm sharing the collection, I can, share some of the poems, some of the poems I can share them now, because many people need to hear those messages, and I know that those words, the poems that I wrote have healing in them, because words, like I said, words have power. And with the energy that you put them forward, with the energy that you manifest those words, those messages, they are going to come with a certain vibration. And mine, from the place I was, they were the vibration that I wanted basically my poems to embody, was healing, because that's what I needed. And even today, when I read the poems, like, you can feel the message behind that. It's something, positive, even if the situation that I'm, writing about was difficult, but it was meant to bring healing, to bring something positive out of the darkness. So, I decided, like I said, to share some of the poems. And then something happened. I wanted to do that since August, basically. Since August, that on my to-do list, and I keep postponing, I keep sending, and then when I realized what was happening, meaning that I was postponing, I was like, I actually refused to analyze myself at that point. I will just be like, postponing, and then feel bad about it somewhere, and then just brush it off and move forward. And then because I was just, I was not facing what was happening. I started to develop, like, different things, like to basically avoid thinking about the fact that you know uh, to avoid thinking about the elephant in the room, basically. So I started to eat. I will eat a lot. Usually I do intermittent fasting, so I will eat just once a day, just one meal, usually lunch, and then that will be it. Just tea, or and water throughout the day. And because of that, it's only now that I understood that it was because of that. I started, like, to, even my intermittent fasting, I will feel the need of eating something. It was weird. I will feel the need to eat something, basically to feel good. But it was, I will, maybe a snack, just something, something sweet, something. And I was like, inside of me, I was like, what is happening? What is this? Why? But obviously, I knew the answer deep down myself. If I wanted to answer that question, when I asked myself what is happening, I could have answered that question because I knew exactly what was happening, but I didn't want to face it. I didn't want to face it. And I think that's something that happens to to most of us, because this wasn't the first time that it happened to me. For me, I was, trying to ignore that feeling, to ignore, the fact that I was avoiding something. I was avoiding to face the fact that, okay, you have to share, to start sharing those poems. I was avoiding to face that. So with that, I just developed, that eating, to keep me busy and to avoid thinking about that elephant in the room. And then I was like, okay, something is wrong. I've had this thing, to produce the poem and share it. And I'm still here, like, since August until now. So I decided to go to the park because for me, nature is where I get all my answers. If I'm in a situation and I feel stuck, I will just go to the park. I have a park, here, like, because we live in Sussex. So there's a park that I love. I will just go there, sit there, quiet. I won't say a word. Usually I will leave my phone in the car to avoid being, distracted. And I will just go there, sit there and go into myself, like think and analyze myself and listen, for some answers to be downloaded into me. So I did that. I went to the park. I sat like this, and after about 5 minutes, I was like, oh wow, like, everything was so clear. I'm like, okay, so actually, I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared, but I just, I was not admitting to myself that I was scared. I'm scared of sharing my work. I'm scared to be judged. I'm scared, that people won't like it. I'm scared. I'm scared. So fear, that low vibrational state that we don't want in our life. It's found a way to get into my life without me suspecting that it was that. So when I was like, okay, I'm scared, I just went quiet for a few minutes. I was like, oh wow, yes. And so basically, it was just like imposter syndrome. Like, I know that I am still, because at the moment, at the time that I'm talking to you, basically I worked on the poem yesterday, and this shirt that I'm wearing tells a story because it's part of the clip. Anyway, once it's ready, I will put a link here so that you can just click on it, and I hope that you love my work. Okay. So yeah, I was like, okay, so this is what is happening here. What shall I do? And that voice straight away when I said, what shall I do? Action was the word that came to my head. Like, it was basically because my guide has been with me, like pushing me, showing me all those messages that were action led. Basically, she wanted me to take action. She want, once it was so spooky because I love tarot. I love tarot. I can't do tarot, but I sometimes, when I'm like, I wonder what's, let me just watch. I have that channel that I love the lady. And I will just go, and if I don't have nothing to do, I will just sit there and watch tarot. And I was doing that, and within the what while I was watching the lady started to, she picked a card, and the card was basically the title of my poem. I'm like, oh God, oh Annie, don't do this to me. Because she was sending all those messages and I was ignoring them. So now she was like, when that lady took the card, it was the title of my poem, the poem that I'm working on now, The Veil of Forgetfulness. I was like, oh my God, oh my God. Okay, okay, I need to do something now. But even then, I was, I knew I had to do something, but I didn't do it. So that day at the park, everything becomes so clear because, I didn't realize that it was imposter syndrome. I was just finding excuses. Oh, it's just because I don't have this. Oh, at the time I didn't have this shirt. I needed to buy this shirt. The LOVE shirt. I needed the LOVE shirt. I need to, I was just finding excuses basically to push the thing, you know, like I said, since August until now. Today I'm recording this and we are the 15th of October. So just to give you an idea of how long I dragged the task. But finally, yesterday, I worked on the clip, and I really look forward to share it with you guys. But the reason I wanted to share this, I mean, it's very important for us, to understand ourselves, and also to understand, to observe ourselves from a subjective perspective, to look at ourselves as if we were, other people. Because, I will say, to look ourselves, to let our spirit basically be the observer and give us the information that we need. Because for me, I knew that something was off, that the eating, that eating habit that I had developed, and I was not, I was not even enjoying the food. I will eat and then feel so guilty. I'm like, what am I doing here? I'm not even doing my intermittent fasting properly. Like, I'm eating way too much. This is not right. What's happening here? But, and once again, I had the answer, but I just didn't want to face it. But that day at the park, I forced myself basically to face the reality. And the reality was that I was scared. I found myself at that crossroad. I knew that, I was, a new version of myself was basically wants to be birthed, wants to express itself, wants to be manifested. And I knew that I was ready to manifest that version of myself. But what will happen after that? What will happen after that? What if? What if? All the questions that we ask ourselves and block us from moving forward. I found myself there. What if this? What if that? Oh, what if this? And all of a sudden, the comfort zone, I mean, where I am, seemed like, the best place to be. Like, don't move, like, just stay there. Unfortunately, that's a place, I mean, when I'm analyzing it like that, it seems quite obvious. But when you are actually living the thing, you found yourself in that situation. It's not that easy to actually understand what is happening. You have to really do some introspection, to go inside, to meditate, to understand, for your soul and your guides to tell you what is happening. So for me, that's what happened at the park. And I got so many answers. I got so many answers. But one of the strongest answer was action. When you find yourself in a place where you feel like there's no movement, you are stuck, you're not moving, you'd love to move, but just something is keeping you from moving. In that case, what you need to do is to take action. You know, even though it's very little actions, but just take action toward what you want. And for me, when I talk about action, I usually take bold action, like big actions. But for this one, because of everything that was happening, I decided to take, like, small actions, small steps until I finally did it. So I recorded the clip. It's ready. And like I said, when it's ready, when everything is ready to go, I will put the link here for you to be able to watch my work, my poem, my first poem that I'm going to bring to the world. So it's an exciting time, but beware of imposter syndrome. Beware of that, because you deserve every single thing that you see in your head, all the vision, that highest vision, that the where you see yourself when you close your eyes, that's place that seems almost surreal, almost impossible to reach. That's exactly where you should be. That's exactly where you should be, and you deserve to be there. So don't let those the negative thoughts to hold you back. Go for it. See that vision and go for it. Because right now, my dear, that's exactly what I'm doing. I know, I love to express myself through poetry. My poems have messages there, healing messages. And I know that they will bring comfort to many people who find the same, who find themselves in the situation that I was in at the time that I wrote them. So get ready for them, because they are coming to you. All right, I hope you like this episode today. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, share with anyone that you feel will benefit from hearing this message today. All right, I see you in the next episode of Self Upgrade.